Hello everyone, welcome! Today's card is going to be an underwater scene, and I'm going to be making my own stencil for this. This is something that anyone can replicate, and I'm also going to pull out some distress inks. I haven't used my distress inks for a while, so I thought I would show them a little love. I'll also be using Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month set for June. This one was very inspiring to me with all of these cute underwater images and that whale. But if you want to recreate this card and you don't have this stamp set, go ahead and pull out whatever underwater creatures you have in your stash. So this set for June is really cute. You can get it with the coordinating dies. It's called What Are You Up To? The dies cut out all of the sentiments as well, except for these three tiny sentiments right here, here, and here. But there are dies for everything else in the set. Okay, I'm going to show you my inspiration picture. So this is what inspired me to create my own stencil. I love the different layers of water and seeing the wiggly lines between the different colors. So that is what I'm trying to recreate with this card. I have a piece of cardstock and I taped it down with some mint tape. I have another piece of 80-pound cardstock that I'm going to cut out. This will be my stencil. And I'm cutting it out with kind of wavy lines. They're not perfectly aligned. They're not perfect scallops. I want some variation in the lines of this stencil. It's super easy to do. And now I have my stencil ready to go, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of inking. I'll start with Salvaged Patina Distress ink. And this one is a really pale ink. It didn't show up very well on camera, and I do go over it several times just to make it darker. But I do like to stamp it off first on the stencil and then pull the ink down so that I get smooth lines and a smooth blend. Eventually, I swap out this blending tool for a brush. If you want to darken your stencil and you've already moved it, it's really easy to realign it. I sped up the video a little bit here. Once I've used the stencil, I do like to go back over the part that I stenciled with the same color just to tone down the white of the cardstock. Okay, so my next color is Prize Ribbon. And this one's really easy to see. It's nice, a nice dark blue. And as you can see, I'm moving the stencil so it's not all the same going down the paper. The third ink that I'm using is Uncharted Mariner. And again, I'm tapping off first on the stencil and then bringing the ink down. I'm going over it just a little bit more to make it darker. And then I'll go over the whole thing, as you can see, with the ink. It looks a lot darker in person. For some reason, the camera is just not picking it up very well. But I wanted the top portion of this cardstock to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to find myself a brush out of my odd assortment of brushes and come back in with that. Here it is. And I can just easily align the stencil and go right over it, and that darkens it up nicely. So this mint tape you can purchase at scrapbook.com. It comes in several different widths. I love this tape because it's going to leave me a white, crisp border around my inking. So let's peel back the mint tape, and I'm pulling it back on itself so I don't rip the cardstock. But it is a pretty low-tack tape. But as you can see, the edges are just perfectly white. This creates a fun and easy underwater scene. And here it is all done. I love the different layers of colors, and it indicates the different depths of water. I have all of the stamps laid out on the door of my Mini Misty, and I'm going to ink these up with some Copic-friendly ink. I'm using an ink pad from My Favorite Things called Extreme Black Ink. And I did stamp this out several times to get nice dark lines. I allowed this paper to dry a little bit since I did ink it up so much. I don't want the ink to smear. And now for a little bit of Copic coloring. My color inspiration also comes from that image that I showed you. So I pulled out a bunch of greens and some reds and pinks and corally colors. And I'm going to speed up this video and just put on a little bit of music and just let you enjoy the coloring. The caps, as you can see, are to the right there if you're interested in knowing what colors I'm using. Okay, so for the whale, I am going to redo this. I didn't like how it turned out. It just got a little bit too dark at the bottom, and you couldn't see the whale's eye anymore. So I'm not going to use this particular whale. I'm going to stamp it out one more time off camera and color it in. I used the coordinating dies to cut out all of my images, and I'll put this little bit of coral reef at the bottom first. I popped it up with some foam squares. I attached the whale with more foam squares, and his tail is just kind of coming in off of the edge of the card. I thought that was really cute. And then the sentiment is popped up as well, and it says, "Well, hello there." Now I can glue down some of the smaller images that I colored in and cut out. This helps to make the seaweed and the coral at the bottom of the card just a little more full. And I'll glue this pretty flower just on top of this larger image. And then what embellishment is more perfect for an underwater scene than white pearls? So I'm going to use a few pearls. Some of them are going to be on these clamshells. I'll put one just up at the top of the seaweed. And then I'm going to put two around the sentiment for a total of 5. I always like to keep it odd numbers. And here is a close-up look at the finished card. Isn't that fun? I hope you'll try this stencil, this homemade stencil, and pull out your distress inks if you have them. I forgot to put water droplets on it. I'm always forgetting that bit, but it looks pretty as is. It was really fun to pull out my distress inks. I think most people use their distress oxide inks these days, but either would work, of course. I'll have all of the products that I used to create this card listed in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful crafty day. Bye.